What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Iron Fist Season 1, Episode 7, Felling Tree with Roots. So this one, a little bit more, I guess, story into Madame Gao and Rand and all of that stuff. Definitely very interesting as far as building the story going forward. Because I think that's kind of the idea that the last episode was so action-based and Danny doing, beating people up and all that stuff. This one is a little bit more slow and takes time to actually develop based on what we saw the last episode. So I like that. I like whenever a show can take a step away from the action for a second. Well, not necessarily take a step away from all of the action, but it does allow us to kind of take a moment to say, okay, so let's focus on something else. Let's focus on building these characters and stuff like that instead of just, oh, let's just have Danny go beat up a bunch of people. So we find out that Madame Gao has apparently been a part of this company for a very, very long time. She even has her own floor that's just completely hers. Nobody else is there except for, I think it was one of the women that was selling the drugs. I can't remember her name, but she was the British girl with the blonde hair. Apparently she works directly for her as like an assistant. So she's not just a salesman, she also does like this, I guess, keeping track of numbers and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think that's who it was, but I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, Danny managed to infiltrate and talk to that woman and find out kind of where one of their places that they're holding, Radovan, or however you say his name is. And so uses that, goes talks to the Yang clan, and manages to get their help to attack this warehouse. And they get there just in time for him to say, I gave her the formula for the drugs, and then die. And so we find out also through this that we find out where Madame Gao is going, that apparently it's the place where Danny's father was going to take him on the plane that ended up crashing. So it was kind of a question of, did Danny's father know Madame Gao? Did this offer that she gave Danny at the beginning of the episode where she's like, just enjoy your life, you ran away from Kunlun because you didn't want to be the Iron Fist. You wanted to be Danny Rand. So enjoy this company. Enjoy what it brings you. And he asked, did you make my father the same offer? I am curious. Did his father manage to say, okay, yeah, I'll accept that. I'll take that and actually work with Madame Gao? So I'm really curious to see where that's going and what all of this means and how connected Madame Gao is to Danny's father. But like I said, very interesting story-wise, very interesting character building, and I have to wonder if they're actually going to chase after Madame Gao, or if they're going to say, okay, we'll try to stop her operations here and wait for her to return before we actually go after her again. So all of that was fairly interesting. We also have some more stuff with the business, Rand Enterprises. Danny is supposed to make this statement apologizing for what happened to the board, but of course, because it's Danny and because he's just completely naive when it comes to business, which I hope, based on what happens, I hope maybe he learns from this, because it is a little bit frustrating whenever Joy is trying to help him out and he just completely ignores everything she says. It's like it's one thing for him to want to stand up for his ideals, but to tell Joy, yeah, fine, I'll talk to them, I'll apologize for this. And then to completely just say, no, I'm standing by this. He just said in the last, what was it? Was it the last episode? I think it was the last episode. Or maybe it was the beginning of this one. But he was talking about, when I make a promise, I keep it. Talking about Radovan finding his daughter Sabina and all of that stuff. He said, whenever I make a promise, I keep it. And then it's like he promises Joy, yeah, I'll talk to them, I'll apologize. And then doesn't keep it, and just completely throws her under the bus, and ultimately it ends up the board decides, which I don't really know if this is even possible, but apparently the board got together and said, okay, yeah, we're kicking out the owners of this business. Like, okay, I guess maybe there's a policy in place for that, but what did Joy have to do with any of this? Like, she tried to get Danny to apologize, and he just said no, and now it's cost Joy her job. So I don't know if that's possible or why the board decided to blame her for it, aside from the fact that she brought Danny in, but whatever the case, maybe Danny will look at this and say, okay, so I didn't listen to her, I didn't follow what I said, and now she's lost her job. Maybe he'll feel bad about that and decide he's got to change his ways a little bit and he's got to stop being so naive. Or maybe he'll just decide, okay, maybe I don't need this business. But whatever the case, yeah, that's how it ends. It's just her losing her job. On to the final part of it, which is Ward and his father, which is definitely taking a turn. um, so at the beginning, we see Harold is being threatened by these guys from the Hand. So Danny happens to come in right at the perfectly wrong time when he's saying, I don't know anything about Danny Rand. And so they both work together. Harold kills both of them and decides he's going to get rid of the bodies. Well, Ward is obviously struggling since the last episode with all of the withdrawals and stuff, seeing the head of that guy in the truck. And so he is like looking for things. You know, he's looking for medicine to sort of help him. And so it's kind of interesting just seeing him in such a vulnerable state. And so, you know, in the last, I think it was the end of the last episode, he like slammed his hand in his car and went inside to get the medicine, and that didn't work. What we see at the beginning of this one, he is still struggling with this. He wants to, he goes after Harold invites him over, he comes in, sees the dead bodies that Harold is trying to dispose of, so he has to dispose of them for Harold, checks his bank account. When he gets back to the office, you see him looking on a website for Central America locations. So he's clearly trying to run away. Well, he's in his car driving, trying to get out, and he gets a call saying that his credit card or his card's been declined. So he looks at his personal account, zero. We find out from Harold that apparently he's been stealing money this whole time and putting it in his personal account. And Harold saw this, kept everybody off of it, because ultimately it wasn't really affecting anything, but because he was trying to run away, completely drained his account to keep him from running. And so this leads to the final episode, or final moment of the episode, where Harold just keeps talking down to him, just like, don't worry, I'm not going to punish you for your mistakes, but you got to stop being a child, you got to grow up. And so he's just like, I'm not a child. I haven't been happy since the day, or the last time I was happy was the day that you died. And you just know something bad's gonna happen. So Harold's just like, well, that's just mean, Ward. Grabs him, punches him in the stomach, and he's like, I created you. I own you. And so then he turns his back on Ward. You know something bad's gonna happen because Ward looks over and there's a knife. You kind of tell where this is going. Ward grabs it, and I'm like, Harold's not really gonna let this happen. Ward stabs him in the stomach and just keeps stabbing him. Falls down, stabs him a couple more times. Yeah, Harold's dead. I really did not expect this. Mainly because it seemed like he was the connection between Danny and the Hand, and on top of that, it seemed like all this fighting stuff he was doing, the training, it felt like it was building up to, at some point, he was training to be able to fight Danny at some point, or so I thought. But ultimately none of that happens, and now he's dead, and now I'm curious to see what this is going to mean for Ward, because not only does he just not believe in any of the Hand stuff, but now he's just killed one of their men that they were using. So what does that mean for Ward? Are they going to kill Ward now? But I think the main thing about this, while it is kind of shocking and I am curious to see where this is going, it does kind of take away one storyline that they never actually gave us, which is Joy finding out that her father was still alive. And so that's the only thing I would say. We had a scene a couple episodes ago where we saw Harold wanted to see Joy, and so because he was such a good servant and everything they did, they allowed him to see Joy, and he saw that she had been hurt, so he asked them to allow him to kill the guy who hurt her. And so I was wondering if any of that was going to come back, if they were going to talk about that at some point, or if he was going to talk about protecting her. But now all of those scenes just kind of seem meaningless to me. Just the fact that, oh yeah, he's protecting her and all of that, but now he's dead. So now she's never even going to know that he was alive. And even if she does, well, he's already dead again, so what does it even matter? So, I don't know. It just seems like kind of a wasted storyline, unless somehow they're going to bring him back to life or something like that. Doesn't seem likely, because generally Marvel doesn't do that. Like, if somebody's dead, they tend to stay dead. Whereas, obviously, one of the things about Marvel is that nobody actually dies. But most of the time it's because like everybody's still alive. They never actually die and they come back to life. That's kind of more DC's territory. They generally have the, oh, they're dead, but not really. They somehow came back to life somehow. These Marvel movies, most of the time, when a character dies, they stay dead. I haven't seen anybody that's died and it's like, oh nope, they're back to life. They're coming back. So yeah, I'm curious to see where that's going. I don't know what's gonna happen with Joy now. If she's ever gonna find out that her father was really alive all this time. But all in all, it's still an interesting episode. More character building, more story building. So I like that part of it. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What did you like and dislike about this episode? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Iron Fist reviews, and I'll see you at the next one.